Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Stevie Nicol. A full programme of midweek Premier League games means that Manchester United have the chance to win 5 in a row. Let's just remind you how things stand in the table as they go into that clash against West Ham. Obviously, 4th in the table. It's been an incredible run since Michael Carrick has taken over. As if United fans need any reminder, let's just show exactly how he's done it, of course. That win in the derby against City, going to Arsenal winning 3-2, that late victory against Fulham, and of course that comfortable victory this Saturday against Spurs. How's he done it? Well, Mario Malchio joins us, but we're also joined by Dimitar Berbatov. Dimi, what is the key? What's the secret sauce? You know Michael Carrick. How has he changed this team around so quickly?
Well, I think it's communication. If you know how to speak to the players, if yourself has been a professional football player at that level, like Michael was, I think he knows how to speak the language in a way that the players at United to feel appreciated, to trust him, and after that to get his idea and put it into play onto the pitch, because the players are the same. The players are the same. Just obviously the manager is different and the system is different. But the most important things, which are the players, are still the same, and we can all see how they play now. They play with flair, with belief, with confidence, with arrogance when they need to, like a team, and it's a joy to watch right now. And so far in the games that we saw, everything is just happening for the team, for him, and the consistency they will find, or I hope they will find until the end of the season, will be the test if Michael can get the job permanently after the end of the season.
So is it, Stevie, as simple as keeping it basic and talking to your players? That just seems not amateurish, but too simple, I suppose.
It does, it sounds like it, but it really is true. And all the things that we've said about it, and Dimitrov was talking about there, driving in...
Who? Dimitrov?
Sorry, David. Sorry.
It's late, don't worry.
It's my Scottish.
Yeah. He's called people worse, don't worry.
Yeah, it's simple things like driving in the morning, you can't wait to get into training, to get in the dressing room, to have a laugh with the guys, and then go out and work hard and then get stuck into each other. Now, that seems a really simple, pretty weak thing to say, but it's 100% true. As opposed to what's happening under Amorim, nobody wants to be there, nobody wants to go there. They get there as late as they can, because the less time they spend there, because the more time they spend there, the more miserable they are.
Sure.
I mean, all of those little things add up. Yeah. And the fact that the actual staff hasn't changed, the players haven't changed, tells you that it's a mentality thing. And Michael Carrick has absolutely found a way of getting through to the players and freeing. They've basically been freed up by the way he talks to them and by the way they're training.
So how can Amorim have got it so wrong, Mario?
Because, what Amorim did, look, okay, when you become a coach, you got to look at the material that you have. And then you look at what you should be playing. But what Amorim had, he didn't look at the material. He just picked his own spot. He just said, no, we're going to do that. So he didn't really care about if the team cannot handle the 3 at the back and the 4 in the middle, whatever he wanted to do. He didn't care that much. I think the difference with Carrick is Carrick, as a player, he was a guy that always, you understand, like the way he influenced games, you understand, in the middle of the park, it was like always try to be in control, always seeing things, try to anticipate, try to see it before it happened. Now, if you look at his team, they all find each other very easy. They know exactly where they need to be, and everybody's in the spot, so it becomes an automatic play sometimes. And I think this is one of the key things. And like Dima said, and what Stevie said, the way you talk to them, there were 2 things, the way of talking, because some people sometimes think it's words only, but sometimes it's also the proof how you play the game. And how he plays the game and how he wants his team to play the game is almost identical to each other. So it's not like I'm watching Man United doing something totally different. No, I'm watching Man United almost playing the way he was as an individual, because that's how he played the game, and understanding it and knowing exactly what the holes were, and try to always be in control of the game. And I think that is what they're trying to build now.
Dimi, do you give him the job permanently?
On the basis of these 4 games, yes, but let's not forget, I think there's another 13 games or so to go until the end of the season. And hopefully after that, based of course on the performance, all of us, I'm a bit biased of course because I used to play with him and I want him to get the job. But let's wait and see until the end of the season. But if they go the way they do right now, of course, why not? But we've seen that before happening with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think it was the same story. So let's not jump to the conclusion yet. Let's just enjoy game by game how United is improving, playing. After the end of the season, we'll wait and see what happens.
A lot of people, as you mentioned, are comparing his run to when Solskjaer first came in, Dimmy. Is that fair, saying, yeah, he had a good run at the start, but then look what happened afterwards, he was out of his depth?
Well, people are comparing, and we all can see the similarity because sometimes when the new manager comes in, that fresh breath of fresh air, and the players are free to play now the way they want to play, and we can see how United's changed with the same players, and there are similarities. But again, in my perspective, from my point of view, I am enjoying what I see right now. I'm cautiously optimistic about the team still, although they play great football, but I think they should go game by game until the end of the season, because who knew that now United will be 3 points, I think, from the second place or 4, where we were in the beginning of the season. So at the moment, everything is going in the right direction, so let's wait and see.
Of course, a lot of the players' form has turned around since Carrick comes in, including Sesko. Am I right, Dimmy, that you spoke to him, that Carrick asked you to speak to the striker to give him some advice? What did you say?
No, that was a false news. I read it somewhere.
Stevie showed it to me. I tell you what, you offered some great advice. You look really good.
No. Listen. Sometimes in the media...
Yeah.
But sometimes
does a new manager coming in, does it give a striker a chance? Does it, obviously it gives him to prove basically the old manager's wrong?
No, you forget about the old manager now. You have a new manager, you want to play for him, you wanna show how good you are. He's gonna give you a chance depending on what you show. I think management is very important, especially when it comes down to the strikers, because we all think we're special with big egos. We wanna play. When you don't play, you don't handle it very well. Then you need to explain to you why you're not playing. So I think in the position of a strikers, the manager needs to know how to speak with them, when to speak with them, what words to use. Again, it's down to communication. In the case of Sesko, I think there is work to be done to build the confidence of him, because we all saw the goal he scored was a beautiful goal.
Doesn't know he's starting every week. We obviously have seen the changes. Does it make a difference? Obviously, it must do as a striker, where the chances are limited, and almost does that kind of pour more pressure on you when you're on the pitch to try and prove yourself?
Of course, because after that goal when he scored, now as a striker you think, all right, I've done my job, I'm going to play next game. But then the manager comes in and he's telling you, you're not starting.
And that's, I imagine, where your coaching has to go up a level. Yeah. Just to keep everybody on board and keep that confidence up, despite the fact you're not starting the player.
Yeah, 100%. I think it helps that he's still really, really young.
Right.
You know, and I think also right now, there's no pressure on him. So I don't think he's going to be sitting every Friday when he gets the team sheet and he's not in it, going home and cursing and not happy and the whole thing. Yes, he wants to play, but I think he's at the stage of his career where right now, the way things are going for him, I think are okay. You know, he can keep coming on, keep getting these opportunities. I mean, the fact that he missed that opportunity, I'd forgotten all about it. I couldn't have told you he'd missed a great chance in that game. And that's a good thing. And again, listen, I wasn't a striker, but I think you can relate it all around the field. You know, when your career gets built, the longer things just move along without any real pressure, just smoothly, doing nothing crazy, being solid, getting your basics right, just all the things that you can do to just improve. And then there does come a point where, right, I need to be playing. But I think right now, I don't believe Sesko's in a position where he's like, I need to be playing, this is no good for me. I think he's learning his trade, basically.
Do you agree, Mario? This is a player, of course, arrived with a big price tag.
Yeah, no, I understand. You know what the guys are saying is like, look, sometimes you got to wait your time, and the timing is very important. I think, like we said, you understand. Like I think Dima highlighted very good was his confidence. You know, as an individual, it doesn't matter where you play in the field, what position you play, you need to play with some confidence. The only way for him to get the confidence is either you play games or you practice so hard on yourself, you understand, at moments where, you know, when the training is finished, you're gonna do your work, do your individual work. And if you do your individual work, your confidence start boosting. And then when you come on in the game, if you come in the game, you wanna make the difference. Strikers are built on that, you understand. The greed of scoring will always be their hunt. I mean, I don't wanna talk because I'm not a striker, but I clearly played with enough, and they were not happy if they scored one time. So they started getting angry because they wanted two. So in that sense, what I'm saying, for him, the focus really will be, is just, in the time when you don't play, I say it to everybody that, you know, regardless if you play in England, doesn't matter where you play. If you don't play, work so hard on yourself that when you play, you are ready to show the difference. Because if you don't do anything and you just do what the group does, believe me, when you get your chance, you're not going to be sharp enough to take it.
Manchester United then very much in the conversation to finish in the top four. Meanwhile, it's a very different conversation when it comes to Tottenham Hotspur at the moment. Of course, another defeat for them. They were good for the first 20 minutes, but we saw obviously what happened when Romero got sent off. It's a team sitting 15th in the table. They're only 6 clear of the relegation zone. It's impossible, Dimi, to talk about this game without talking about Romero. As a teammate, if you're a Spurs supporter, how do you feel about that moment?
He just make a mistakes with heavy touch, and then it leads to the red card. So my mind is always been, know your strong qualities. He's the leader. He's the captain. He's outspoken. He speaks. Even when he doesn't need to speak, he speaks. But he needs to be more humble from time to time, and know that he needs to lead by example. The red card was not the example, because the moment he received that red card, the game finished. There were no chance they were going to win that game. So that sometimes comes from that false confidence that you are the man, you're the guy, you can do everything, and then that leads to mistakes, like it was in this case.
Should he be Spurs captain, Dimi?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person. I'm not the manager. Of course, he have the qualities. As I said, he's the world champion. He can be very stable in the back. He have great chemistry with Mickey van der Ven. They have good connection going on there. The only thing he needs to take care, in my opinion, of course, Mario can say better than me because he used to play in a position like this. But that belief that you're the best sometimes, that you can do everything without you want, plus the fact that you're the captain, you're the leader, the team starts with you, sometimes can make you make mistakes because of this type of thinking.
Dimi, you had some big characters in that Manchester United dressing room. How would have they dealt with this situation? Would they have spoken to him about it?
Depending who the characters are and how they understand situation like this, because in United dressing room we had great leaders. Some of them were outspoken, some of them were more quiet. So depending who he had around him, but in the Spurs situation, I think the players are a bit more not so outspoken. They are a bit too kind, too nice. You need to be sometimes be more nasty. You need nasty to your teammates even to
they
know
need
how
to be the
provoke.
bad boy like you, yeah? The bad boy like you.
Even if you're the captain, you will say, look, you're the captain, you should lead by example. This was not the thing today. You should know what to do and how to lead us. We are following you, but that's not the right example.
Mario, you think of that Chelsea dressing room you were in. There weren't many timid characters there in comparison to those at Spurs. How would they have dealt with this situation?
We had the smallest guy, you know, in the team. Was maybe the biggest character was Dennis Wise. No, if you would do something like that, Dennis was like, he was way shorter than me. But if you would do something like that, yeah, he will come and talk to you if it needed. Because, okay, we had, let's say if Dennis had to talk to Desailly. Okay, Desailly is similar situation, you understand, Marino, he went through because won the World Cup, he won the World Cup as well. So you go and talk to him, you just say sometimes like, okay, as a captain, you will be like, hey, come on, guys, you know, you cannot do certain things like that. The only thing in this situation, what I don't want to happen to him is that his game is being played with passion. And I understand the passion, he needs to control his passion. Because I think if you take away the passion out of him, I think his delivery and the quality that he puts in his game will get less, and I'm worried for that because I don't want that to happen. But the only thing is, like, things like this gonna happen. Captain, second time in the league, but you're gonna get 4 games now. You not only hurting your team, you're also hurting yourself, because people sometimes say like, hey, he's hurting the team, but also yourself. 4 games, watching your team play, you don't want that. You want to be part of that. So for him, if you won the biggest trophy that we wanted to win, there is more out there. And the only way to win that is not to do stuff like that, because it's going to get you in trouble.
Dimi, how much does this fall on Thomas Frank? Does he need to be stronger as a manager?
In a situation like this, definitely. I can see him almost suppressing anger sometimes when he's doing press conference. I can see that he's angry at some of the situation. He doesn't always allow himself to express that anger so everybody can see, but I think it's there. And of course you should be angry in a situation like this, because you lost the game the moment that red card happened. And I think a conversation honest with your captain should happen, because this is the guy that is translating your ideas to your team. This is the guy that leads. So in a situation like this, be honest, be direct. You need to be, as a manager, there and say, look, you're the captain. That's wrong what you're doing. And I know that he likes him because the way he speaks about him, and he should be. But he needs to be direct with him and say, this cannot continue. 4 games now, you're going to watch from the sidelines. And we're going to miss you.
Overall, Dee, as someone who's well connected at Spurs, how sad is it to watch them play at the moment?
Like a team, you mean? It's painful, because when watching United and Spurs, I'm split in the middle. And because I respect both teams, I love both teams. But Spurs, right now, in this moment, if the results don't go their way, they'll be in relegation battle. I mean, come on. It's unbelievable. And they have a good team. They can surprise you, but they can disappoint you. So it's always been the same story with Spurs. I think that consistency, they cannot find it. They can have a great game, surprise everybody, but the next time, disappoint everybody. So if they don't find that consistency, they'll be in trouble.
Yeah, indeed, they could be dragged into that relegation scrap. A lot more on what happened at Old Trafford between Man United and Spurs on the latest edition of the...
Nicol Arteta's work at Arsenal is being viewed in an even brighter light after the recent coaching shakeups elsewhere. With Chelsea parting ways with Enzo Maresca and Manchester United moving on from Ruben Amorim, the contrast is hard to miss. Arsenal has kept moving forward under Arteta, giving him time through difficult stretches, and now seeing the payoff as the club pushes again in the Premier League title race. It also raises a bigger question about strategy. While Chelsea and United are changing direction again, Arteta has been in place for more than 6 years, outlasting a long list of managers across those 2 clubs in that span. That stability has become part of the story, and it was a major talking point on the Seeing Red podcast with Tom Canton and John Cross. Beyond reacting to Amorim's dismissal and breaking down wins over Aston Villa and Bournemouth, plus Manchester City's loss to Chelsea, the conversation kept returning to one core idea: structure. Not just who is the coach, but how much power that coach has, and whether the club is built to support a long-term project. Cross pointed to Arsenal as a rare example of patience turning into real strength. He argued that Arsenal's willingness to back Arteta through the messy early phases helped create the stable position they're in now, and that this kind of time and support investment is what can turn a club into something truly solid. Canton's response was sharp and honest. Arteta's arc, he said, has almost become a problem for other clubs, because it tempts them to keep coaches they probably shouldn't. But at the same time, it's still the best example of what can happen when you hire the right person and actually give them time. And that time wasn't smooth. The discussion highlighted how Arsenal could easily have pulled the plug early. 2 8th-place finishes, then 5th, missing out on the Champions League, and a Europa League semi-final exit to Unai Emery's Villarreal. Any of those moments could have pushed a club into panic mode. Instead, the argument is that Arsenal recognized the bigger reality. Arteta didn't have the resources to compete at the required level right away. The squad needed a rebuild. The roster needed to be refreshed. That's where the comparison to Chelsea and United becomes even more pointed. The podcast suggested that recruitment and decision-making structure are often what determine whether a coach survives. If signings don't land, results suffer. And if a coach doesn't have enough influence, or the club isn't aligned behind a clear plan, it becomes much easier for things to collapse. In other words, giving time only works if the coach is empowered to shape the team in a way that matches the vision. Cross also emphasized that Arteta's situation stood out because he pushed to be a true manager, not just a head coach. The idea is simple. Top coaches want a real say in the build, and they want the club to match what they were promised when they took the job. The discussion even pointed to how Arteta survived a low moment, like the home loss to Burnley, because the club stayed behind him. And in that period, with fan pressure affected by the COVID-era environment, Arsenal were able to hold their nerve instead of reacting emotionally. Meanwhile, the big unknowns now shift back to Chelsea and Manchester United. Who replaces Amorim? And how will the next chapter look at Chelsea? The answers may come sooner than people expect. But for Arsenal, the reality stays the same. They're stable, they're moving forward, and they're still in the title chase, while others are starting over again. And that contrast can shape how people judge every manager in the league. Because when two massive clubs hit the reset button again, it forces the same question Cross raised on the show. Is the quick switch actually fixing the problem, or just delaying the real work? The bigger takeaway from the discussion is that time isn't a magic solution by itself. It only becomes valuable when the club's structure supports the plan. And when the coach has the influence to push the squad in the direction he believes it needs to go. That's why the distinction between head coach and manager kept coming up. The podcast point is that if a coach is expected to own the results, he usually wants a meaningful say in the decisions that shape those results. And if he doesn't get that, patience alone won't save him. That's also where Arteta's early struggles get reframed. Those finishes and setbacks could have become a reason to panic. Instead, they became evidence of why alignment matters, because Arsenal chose to treat them as part of a build, not a final verdict. And once the squad was reshaped the way the club believed it needed to be, the results started to reflect that long-term approach. So the repercussions aren't just about Arsenal looking stable, it's about how stability changes your margin for error. When you don't reset every year, you're not constantly starting from zero. You're building on decisions, learning from setbacks, and keeping a clearer identity. For Chelsea and Manchester United, the immediate consequence is obvious. They're changing direction again, which means the next appointment carries even more weight. Because every new coach isn't just judged on results. He's judged on whether the club is finally giving him the structure and authority that the role demands. That's why the question at the end matters so much. Who will replace Amorim? And how will Liam Rosenior do at Chelsea? Because those answers will test the exact theme the show kept returning to. Time, support, structure, and control. And for Arsenal, it's a different kind of pressure. Stability doesn't guarantee trophies, but it does keep you in the fight longer. And right now, while others restart, Arsenal get to stay focused on what they're already doing, chasing the Premier League title.